was a good meeting. We discussed, of course, the upcoming Ankara summit, but also very much the President's leadership on ramping up when it comes to spending in Europe and Canada. Very successful, but also when it comes to ramping up the defense industrial production. As you know, he is now meeting with the big defense industry companies in the United States. I hope they are well prepared, because he will no doubt require them also to do more. And that's really crucial. And his leadership on all of this, but also, of course, on Iran, the nuclear capability, degrading that, crucial for the whole world. And on Ukraine, bringing Ukraine to a lasting peace. Ukraine is doing so much better over the last 5-6 months than before. Also thanks to all the help the US is providing. So a lot to discuss. We did that in a very good atmosphere, and I'm looking forward to the summit. But what is important here is for NATO that we always had a consistent position as an alliance with the United States, all the 32 nations, that Iran should never get its hand on the nuclear capability. I think there's a lot at play here. Of course, freedom of navigation, clearly. You heard the President about that. He was very clear in the presser in the Oval Office. And there is this big issue of the nuclear capability. And when it comes to the nuclear capability, I really want to say this again. Iran having its hands on the nuclear capability, this country exporting chaos, exporting terrorism, would be a danger to the whole world, particularly the region, Israel and to Europe, but also the rest of the world. He is completely committed to the NATO alliance, but he is also absolutely clear, as always. This is the great strength of this president. So he was always clear, I'm committed to the NATO alliance. But I expect allies to spend more, to equalize with the United States. What he achieved in The Hague, the 5% commitment. And what you're now seeing, that in 1 year we had an almost 20% increase. Europeans and Canadians, the $139 billion nominal dollar spending increase is evidence that not only there was the commitment in The Hague, but now we are delivering. This is thanks to his leadership. So yes, committed, but also a clear expectation. He sees the fact that Europeans and Canadians are spending almost 20% more. There is a limit to what you can spend more in 1 year, because there is an absorption capacity maximum. Because you have to find the men and women in uniform, you have to make sure that the defense industry output is there to spend all the money. So $139 billion nominal extra spending in 2025 is huge. I think he can absolutely take credit for this. His leadership has been crucial. Of course, also the fact that the Russians are a threat to all of us, including the United States. And please, one thing about NATO. When it comes to the defense of the United States, NATO is crucial. These nuclear submarines there in the north of Russia are not there to attack Norway, they are there to attack the United States. Because we all want Europe to play a bigger role in the conventional defense of Europe. And that is only right. And we, as I said before, 600 million people living in Europe, in NATO territory, defending ourselves against 140 million Russians. It is a bit strange that we are still so overly dependent on a country 8 hours flying away from Amsterdam and Brussels, being the United States. So yes, the United States will stay involved, conventional, but over time you will see Europe stepping up, and that is only right. Sir, last question.
Expectations, sir, about this meeting in Ankara. What do you think?
Well, except for the fact that it was being held in Turkey by President Erdogan, I don't think I would have gone to it.
You must come for me.
But I might go for I mean, I wouldn't have gone for, what we went through over the last 2 months with, the various countries. But you're probably right, I would have gone for you. But I would have not gone for most people. But he called me up, he said, please, I have it in Turkey, you got to be there. The United States has to be there. And so I'm going out of respect to President Erdogan.
What do you want the allies to do more than what they are doing right now? Do you have an ask?
I just want their loyalty. We don't need their money. We don't need anything. We have the most powerful military in the world by far. But I just want loyalty. We're so loyal to them. We're always fighting for them. We have thousands of troops all over Europe. In Germany, we have 50,000 troops. And then you want give us a little nudge, give us a little kiss. We don't want much. And they say, no, we can't do it. We're paying hundreds of millions of dollars for the troops that we have in Germany, the troops that we have in UK, the troops that we have all over Europe. I will say Poland was very good. I endorsed him, and he won. By the way, Many people that I endorsed outside of the United States won. You know that, right?
Mr. President, you like
but he
winners.
won.
Mr. President, you like winners. Do you think President Zelensky is winning right now? You famously.
Well, he's doing pretty well. Look, no matter how you look at it, he's doing pretty well. He's holding his own, at least. A lot of people dying on both sides, but I think he's doing pretty well.
Can I ask you?
Look, you have to say he's courageous. He's got great equipment, but he's got great men. He's got fighters.
Can I ask you one other question?
Yeah.
Have you seen the report into the Minad school attack, sir? And could you tell us?
I have not seen it. No.
Why not?
At some point, well, I have to wait for it to be complete. I don't know that they're ever going to solve that problem. I mean, you could ask Pete, but I don't know that they're going to say it was one of our missiles. Pete, I don't know that they're ever going to solve that problem in terms of whose fault was it, because there were missiles flying all over the place.
So you won't accept
and it's
that?
horrible what happened, but there were missiles flying all over the place. And somebody said it was our missile. Well, maybe it wasn't our missile, but I've seen nothing to lead me to believe it was. There were plenty of missiles being flown by other people. What do you think, Pete?
Well, Mr. President, we've taken the investigation very seriously, and when the appropriate time is right, whatever that outcome is, that'll be the time to divulge.
Do you know what?
I mean, if you come up with the right answer, I don't think it's going to be us. I don't think it was us. There were a lot of missiles being fired at that time. Yeah, please.
It's about Iran. Now I want to take you, if you stay here,
Go ahead.
I go over to these boards here, because I want to show you what this president was able to achieve. And I start with this chart. This chart is about the Trump trillion. The Trump trillion shows you the increase Europeans and Canadians are paying into defense since you took office in 2017. In 2 weeks in Ankara, you will have not 7 countries, you will have 42 countries, the 32 allies, US and the other 31, but also 9 or 10 other countries from the Middle East, from the Indo-Pacific. And they want to hear your lead. You will provide it, I know this. This is what you do in Iran, this is what you do in defense industrial output, on spending and all of this. European companies into the United States, 83,000 jobs supported by that. 112,000 jobs created by that. But I just wanted to tell this story because, ladies and gentlemen of the American media, this is important. This is your president, but also the leader of the free world, taking the leadership role as is necessary.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much.
The free world, taking the leadership role as is necessary.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you very much. I believe if I would have called him, and I didn't bother doing that because I was doing individual countries just to take the temperature and see how they were doing. But I think if I would have called him, he probably would have found a way to help if we needed it. I feel, would have been a little bit different. But I was disappointed. I was disappointed with Italy. I was disappointed with the UK. He's now gone. And, he had a lot of problems. But we were disappointed with the UK. We were disappointed with Germany and France. We were disappointed with most of them. Spain is a horror show. Spain is terrible, even from your standpoint. I mean, they don't want to pay anything. They think they're in for a free ride. Spain is not a good group. Not a good group at all.
4,000 and 5,000 US planes taking off from Europe, I would argue. This is not, strictly speaking, NATO. With bilateral commitments, they all did what they promised to do. And this led to between 4,000 and 5,000 US planes taking off from Europe. I would argue it would have been very difficult to do Iran without having Europe as a power projection platform for the United States. Delivered again, he's right. There is also reason for disappointment. It is a mixed bag.
Mr. President, and what does he need to do to improve the relationship between
Know about who?
the new incoming Prime Minister, Andy Burnham?
I don't know anything. I see that he was, I guess, the mayor of a town. I hear he's extremely liberal. Extremely. So that means he probably won't open up the North Sea. I gave Keir Starmer some pretty good advice. I said, open up the North Sea. Go to Aberdeen, which was the hottest city in the whole continent. It was the oil city. It was the oil of Europe. And they closed everything. It was terrible. I saw it before my eyes, and I couldn't believe it. The North Sea is loaded. I have had every oil company come to see me. Sir, could you give us access to the UK? We would do anything to drill in the North Sea. And they haven't even found what's there. The amazing thing is they buy their oil from Norway, which gets the oil from the North Sea. Think of it. And they pay a big premium. Norway's got now $2 trillion in the bank, and UK is dying. So they should open up the North Sea, and it's an easy one. And